Donald Trump's cognitive decline is the worst kept secret in the White House. That and the fact that he was best friends with pedophiles who he is now covering up for. But Donald Trump, every single day, if you watch him, if you hear him, if you are exhausted by him like I am, you see that he is in a state of cognitive collapse. There is no amount of obfuscation, of distraction, of Carolyn Levitt saying, look over there, that will keep the secret from coming out, especially because Donald Trump just blurts it out. And he is really making it clear how furious he is that we all know when a top official went public over his MRI and he responded with a slur-filled Truth Social meltdown that we are going to get into. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we get into this slurred-filled posting meltdown, I want to start with the racist rant from Donald Trump about Somalia that began it all.
What do the Somalians have to do with this Afghan guy who shot the national?
Nothing, but Somalians have caused a lot of trouble. They're ripping us off for a lot of money. There's a tremendous amount of money going back to Somalia. What the hell are we paying money to Somalia for? But they're ripping off our country at a level that few people have been able to see before. Mm-hmm. That's about the only thing. You talk about competence. We have Ilhan Omar, who does nothing but complain about our country and our Constitution. And she comes from a country with practically no country. It's devastated, it's crime-ridden, it's a mess, it's a disgrace. And we took their people at a tremendous... We're not taking their people anymore. We're not taking their people. And we're getting a lot of their people out because they're nothing but trouble. Okay, thank you very much, everybody.
We've already seen this become the new culture war issue of the right. This is now what they want to be talking about all the time. They screwed up their healthcare agenda, whatever that was supposed to be, in a matter of 24 hours. Of course, they bungled the shutdown. All of their messaging has been terrible lately. That on top of the scandal after scandal after scandal that piles up on Donald Trump. So they were deciding to resort back to racism. What a shock that is. But Stephen Miller has been screaming on Fox about Somaliafication, and Donald Trump just generally wants this to be his main talking point. But he's only able to get it out so much because, as we know, Donald Trump is in cognitive and physical decline. There was a New York Times report finally just about it the other day.
Headline: shorter days, signs of fatigue. Trump faces realities of aging in office. The Times has documented the newly abbreviated schedule for the struggling 79-year-old man. Quote, in 2017, the first year of his first term, Mr. Trump's scheduled events started at 10:31 a.m. on average. By contrast, Mr. Trump in his second term has started scheduled events in the afternoon on average at 12:08 p.m. His events end, on average, at around the same time as they did during the first year of his term, shortly after 5 p.m. The number of Mr. Trump's total official appearances has decreased by 39%. 39% less Donald Trump. That's what we're getting now. Donald Trump was the laziest president we had ever seen in his first term. He is now 39% lazier. And he is now apparently struggling with a 5-hour workday. And of course, none of us have seen him do anything that in any way meets the definition of work during those 5 hours. The Times reports Mr. Trump appeared to doze off during an event in the Oval Office. And so we are now covering the physical decline and fall of Donald Trump. Last night, I mentioned Donald Trump's age a couple of times when I pointed out that you can see the 79-year-old man who gets very little sleep bewildered about how he is losing his grip on the Republican Party. And there are people who are in full-blown dementia in their early 60s. We all age differently, and Donald Trump is aging just fine for someone who should be watching TV all day and playing golf occasionally, but he's aging terribly for a...
...is in severe decline. It is easy to see. You don't even need a medical diagnosis anymore. Just listen to him slur his words, see that he is canceling events, understand that he is waking up later, that he is working less. Not that Donald Trump really ever worked in the first place, but all of this is obvious to those paying attention. And Donald Trump hates when we pay attention to all of the problems in his administration, which is why last night, after I guess he had some turkey or a couple Big Macs and really let it stew, that he got called out for so many scandals at that little press conference he held. He took his tiny little fingers to Truth Social and he melted down as always in a slurred-filled rant over his mental decline. And Trump's MRI results after unhinged slur attack. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz clapped back at Donald Trump's use of an offensive slur against him by demanding that the president release the results of an MRI scan he was revealed to have undergone last month during a Thursday night Thanksgiving Truth Social rant in the wake of the previous day's fatal shooting by an Afghan National Guardsmen near the White House. Donald Trump described Tim Walz as seriously R-worded over his supposed stance on Somali immigrants ripping off America. In response, Walz posted on Twitter a screenshot of Trump's late-night post that had been targeted him, of course, by name, with a four-word response that simply read, "Release the MRI results." Walz's jab referenced Trump's disclosure that he underwent an MRI in October. Trump has called the scan perfect, but declined to say which part of his body was imaged or why they did it. In his Thanksgiving message to reporters at Mar-a-Lago, Trump vowed to permanently pause migration from all third world countries and re-up the tax on Minnesota's Somali community, along with attacks, of course, on Representative Ilhan Omar, while blaming immigrants for crime. In an accompanying Thanksgiving post on Truth Social, Trump fixated on Minnesota, claiming that Somali gangs are roving the streets and claimed that the state was being completely taken over. As well as slighting Walz, he threatened to terminate temporary protected status for Somalis in Minnesota and attacked Omar as the worst congresswoman in our country. This is just a disgusting, racist campaign from Donald Trump to try to distract from so many things. The resignation of Marjorie Taylor Greene, fracturing within MAGA, the Epstein files, his indiscriminate killings of fishermen off the coast of Venezuela, the tanking stock market, the rising price of goods. I could rattle off a million things that this is a distraction from, but it's a distraction as well from Donald Trump's cognitive decline. He has become more out of control. He has become more radical than ever, and it is because, I know it sounds crazy to say, but he has lost his brain more than we ever could have imagined. And so yes, we do deserve the results of Donald Trump's MRI, and the fact that they are hiding them is an admission alone of just how bad that they are. That is how bad that it is. And the fact that Donald Trump understands that, because Donald Trump wouldn't be hiding these results if they were great for him. He always talks about how he's a big, strong ox, and he's the healthiest president that anyone's ever seen, and his fake doctor who lost his medical license, who put out a fake report about his health, mind you, he hasn't commented lately. What's that about? Why wouldn't they say the MRI was of, Mr. Trump's something else, and we looked at his muscles and they're so strong and great? Why wouldn't they just say that? Because they know if they do, they're talking about the MRI. And they can't talk about the MRI, because if they do, we might ask questions about the MRI. But do you know the question that's already been answered about the MRI? How bad it was. Because Donald Trump knows how bad it is, and he still blurted about it. He was the one who shared this information. Remember, it wasn't on that little fake-ass report that they gave out. No, Donald Trump was the one who shared he got an MRI, that he had intense imaging done, and obviously it was on his pudding brain. And so Donald Trump wants all that covered up. And he's resorting to racism. What a shock, as the coalition fractures, because Donald Trump understands the moment of weakness that he is in, and it will only be exacerbated by us knowing the actual physical, cognitive weakness that he is in right now as well. And that is the case for Donald Trump. Severe weakness. And he hates that. He hates that we know that. But I think it's also important to keep in mind that this is not just an opportunity to say that Donald Trump is trying to distract, but cement the fact that the lies that he is telling are lies. That immigrants do not raise the price of housing. Immigrants build the housing in this country. Immigration is fundamentally and economically deflationary. That is real economics for you, J.D. Vance, you fucking moron. And in terms of crime, disproportionately less. A fraction of the amount. Not just a fraction of the crime, but significantly less than native-born Americans. People who were born in this country disproportionately, on average, not net, not whole, on average, commit more crimes than people who come to this country. Why? Because the people who are coming to this country, unlike Donald Trump, and unlike Stephen Miller, and unlike Kristi Noem, and Pete Hegseth, and J.D. Vance, they love this country. And they know what it actually stands for. So this is not a time for us to get all defensive and go, oh, we don't really want to talk about the immigration conversation. Oh, we get so scared. No. Stand up for the dignity of the people who are coming to chase a better life in the greatest country in the world. Democrats should not run away from these issues and say, well, I guess Republicans are right about immigration. Maybe we need to do more. No, stand up for the dignity of the people who made this fucking country great. Do that. Show some backbone. Have some patriotism. Say, do you know what? If you're criticizing immigrants, you're not a patriot. That's who built this country. That's what I'd like to see out of Democrats. Have a little backbone right now. Call out this racist bullshit. And call it out for just being weird. This is weird. It's a weird obsession. Take Tim Walz's words. He's the one calling out Donald Trump. Take his it's weird. Why is the president not releasing his MRI results? It's weird. Why is he being a racist at 1 a.m. on Truth Social? It's fucking weird. Call him out. Call them out because they are going to lose, as Lawrence O'Donnell made clear.
News run by Jake Sherman, who has excellent contacts in Congress, reports that Republicans believe they have no chance of winning the House of Representatives next year. That's what Republicans believe, and they blame two people, Donald Trump and Mike Johnson. Quote, a few other GOP members messaged us over the weekend saying that they too are considering retiring in the middle of the term. Here's one particularly exercised senior House Republican, quote, this entire White House team has treated all members like garbage, all. And Mike Johnson has let it happen because he wanted it to happen. That is the sentiment of nearly all appropriators, authorizers, hawks, doves, rank and file. The arrogance of this White House team is off-putting to members who are run roughshod and threatened. They don't even allow little wins like announcing small grants or even responding from agencies. Not even the high profile, the regular rank and file, random members are more upset than ever. Members know they are going into the minority after the